Well, during the holiday season, a lot of us are paying a little bit more attention to our budgets between travel, expenses, and gifts. All those bills, they tend to add up, and many of us are still looking for ways to help our community through some charitable giving as well. It's hard being adults sometimes, but you know what? That's why you have to have friends like Stacey Kupsky, who's back for Money Monday. Thank you so much for coming back. You always make us a little bit smarter, and you have some tips on how we can make the most of the season of giving and still be building wealth. I like those two things. Yes.
They don't have to be simultaneous. You can accomplish both together, right?
Where should we start?
Yeah, so something I always say is think about writing down what's most important to you. Now, often I like to do that. My husband and I gather at the end of the year and start planning for our next year ahead and think about having a giving journal. What are the charities or causes that are most important to you as a family, and kind of set that initiative in that direction. Now, although we're year end, you can still take a moment to gather and say, what haven't we accomplished that maybe is important to us for 2024, but it's never too early to get a jump start on the next year and say, do I want to make an annual contribution, monthly, quarterly, and what causes really are important to us.
I like that you're putting intentionality to it, because I think that is definitely step one. I think some folks might look at their bank accounts and be like, can I even do this? Like, I'm just trying to go from thing to thing. How do I do both? So what are some different avenues that might be good to think about when it comes to charitably giving?
Yeah, absolutely. And we understand everyone is at a different stage, right? So it's always good to take inventory of what do you have access to. So sometimes if you're working for an employer, you might have the ability to get a match on your gift. So instead of maybe your ability to give, say, $100, you can go to your corporation. If you give through their portal, they'll match you dollar for dollar up to a certain amount. So that can be a way to just really boost the amount that you're giving to something that you hold close to your heart. So that's kind of an easy button, if you will, is explore if that's in your benefits. And some people don't know until they check out that site. Secondarily, think about if you set cash aside that potentially, could be used for gifting. Another thing we always talk about is, do you have stock? Do you have a portfolio that we can be accessing in lieu of cash? Cash is what I call the easy button, right? People usually write a check or they use a credit card, but sometimes if we can take some time to say, let's set aside this stock, it's highly appreciated, and maybe the charity will accept something like that. So again, what do we have at our disposal and what's in our repertoire to be able to give?
That's so good. And it's funny, until someone says it, sometimes you don't even know to look for it. So that works as well. And I know some people are like, okay, but what about like tax breaks, stuff like that? Does that, play a factor in trying to charitably give and wealth build?
Oh, absolutely. We always want to be paying attention to our tax. So I like to say, let's try to give the full dollar. And what do I mean by that? Sometimes if you're giving cash, you're paying tax on that, right? That's income, and then you're giving that, and you have to work with your CPA, determine, can I get a tax break? But if you're giving out of, say, potentially a donor advised fund, which is a more sophisticated product, you can work with your advisor and your CPA to say, can I maybe bunch a few years of giving together and say, then give out of that fund. It gives you a tax break. It allows you to give with intentionality. And then you're kind of more thoughtful in how you're planning and giving. So that's one tool. Some people also are in a different phase of, say, retirement, and you can actually be leaning on, say, your IRA to be charitably gifting. And then again, we're not paying tax on those dollars. They're going directly to the charity, which is another way to save tax and make sure your cause is receiving more dollars.
See, there's always a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. I love it. Stacey, thank you so much. A lot of those things I had no idea about. So now hopefully this gives us the steps to be able to move forward.
Absolutely.
Well, you have to come back again.
Happy to.
Thank you so much.